This is Croven back with Trisbic for the last match of the first half of the final day of Alliance Tournament 7. Red Overlord versus Brick Squad. Red Overlord has brought 2 Chronos, an Abaddon, Damnation, Guardian, Cormorant, Succubus, Jaguar, and 2 Griffins.
And Brick Squad has a Tengu, 2 Golems, a Basilisk, 2 Hugins, 2 Cormorants, and 2 Thrashers.
Yeah, definitely a couple of interesting choices on both teams here. Red Overlord seems to be fond of the Chronos. This is the 3rd time they've brought Chronos to the matches. And we are just about ready to go. And the match is go. And we're seeing now the Chronos obviously came in. Yes, the Chronos and the Abaddon close to the beacon, whereas the rest of the team came in at a little bit of range, obviously hoping to avoid being insta-popped if the other team did in fact come in at 0.
The Brick Squad team, though, came in also at range. They're all very far from each other right now. Damage mainly going towards the Griffin, 1 Griffin on Red Overlord, and a Guardian, while the Basilisk for Brick Squad taking fire.
Yeah, and we've got Red Overlord dropping sentry drones, including bouncer ones, very pro, while Brick Squad seems to have all shield maintenance bots at this point. Everything that's out for them is shield maintenance bots, and everything out for Red Overlord is a bouncer of some form.
So I assume that those shield maintenance bots are all frantically orbiting the Basilisk right now. One of the ROL Cormorants now taking a lot of shield damage. There's just not a lot of damage going either way right now.
Well, and I think that'll change if these Cronoses are able to close range, as well as that Abaddon. I don't. The Abaddon is clearly firing, but I don't know how much of an impact he's making at this point.
Yeah, it seems like the range is still just a little bit too wide for either team to start pouring on the damage.
And it looks like he's actually firing, the Abaddon is firing at the Hugin.
And Torps have started hitting that Red Overlord Abaddon now. It's into armor. I mean, obviously that's like running into a brick wall there, the Abaddon with a fearsome armor tank.
Absolutely. And let's see, or is it... I'm outside of look range on both of these Ravens at the moment, so once we get in range, I will take a look and we'll see if both of them are using crews or if we're seeing a split setup like we did in the last round. Or Torps, rather.
Yeah, that Abaddon definitely taking armor damage. He's consistently taking damage from these Torps that are coming in from the Brick Squad Golems. I mean, it's not overwhelming him. It's certainly not absolutely crushing that Abaddon, but there's very little damage coming towards the Brick Squad team. Basilisk taking shield damage.
Oh, taking a lot of shield damage now. I don't know what exactly happened. Oh, yes, I do. There's a Chronos riding up from under that Basilisk, and down he goes. Wow. The absolutely just crushing volley damage of that Chronos, bringing that Basilisk from about a quarter shields to dead in a single volley.
It looked like he may also have been smart bombing those shield drones off of the Basilisk. I saw a few of them explode before he went down.
Definitely not a bad plan. And with that Basilisk down, that complicates matters just a little bit.
Yes, that certainly puts the Brick Squad team in a unenviable position, as damage looks like it's being split across both Hugins. That Abaddon for ROL still sitting at about 60% armor, as it takes a big chunk to a torpedo volley, but things don't look good for Brick without that logistic ship.
Yeah, that Hugin now already in trouble at about 50% shields. The Abaddon, he's, as you said, slowly dropping armor, but you know, the Guardian's still up. It's not an amazing amount of repping going on, but he's hanging in there, basically. That Abaddon is not dropping as fast as he might otherwise be.
Yeah, he's dropped below 50. He's being repped back up. It looks like Brick will be able to break his tank, but I mean they're trading in. They've already traded in their logistics ships for that armor.
Well, and we'll be trading in
that
Hugin.
Yeah, that Abaddon rather, piloted by 1 Armor 1. And yeah, they'll probably be losing at least 1 more ship before it goes down.
Yeah, well, and honestly, I mean, at this point, those Hugins are playing a huge role because, like we saw, that Chronos got in range of that Basilisk and basically 2-volleyed it. With those Hugins still in play, however, well, With one Hugin still in play, however, they're able to dictate. Brick is able to dictate a little bit more range. They obviously saw that Red had been bringing Chronoses a lot and tried to counter that. And in the match that didn't bring Chronoses, they brought Proteus. So in every match, they've brought a very blaster-heavy setup. So bringing Hugin's not at all a bad choice in this match. But with one down and the second one in trouble, it's just a question of how long before those Chronoses start munching on their golems.
Yeah, this Abaddon for ROL still holding on, actually repping back up now as that second Hugin goes down, and yeah, it's looking bad for Brick for sure.
Yeah, and I would say that I was sorry to see that, but they popped my Proteus, so go Red Overlord, as we're seeing 1 armor 1 in that Abaddon, just below 50% armor now. I will cheer for Brick as long as they replace my Proteus. So. You know, that's out there. But we're also seeing some spread damage amongst a lot of the destroyers. I suspect that's probably some smart bomb action.
One of those thrashers for Brick going down. One thing about Brick Squad is, I mean, they've made it far in the tournament. They're coming into this fight 3-0, but I have not really been that impressed with them. The first two people they fought were not stupendous opponents.
No.
And then last night versus Atlas, I thought they had a fantastic setup, and they ended up only with 3 ships left. I think that they should have done a lot better last night.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've brought setups that have obviously some thought put into them. They're decent setups, but there's been nothing earth-shattering now. Now no Hugins left for Brick Squad, so we're going to find out just how tough the tanks on those shield tanking ships are. As that Abaddon and those Chronos are going to get in range and have a little something to say to them.
Yeah, that Abaddon still holding on the Guardian right next to it, giving it, I assume, all of the remote reps right now.
It would have to be, yeah. And let's see, let's take a little bit closer look at him. Yeah, he's definitely repping him. It looks like there's cap going back and forth between him and the Damnation, actually, which not a bad strategy. Damnation, not a terribly cap-intensive ship if buffer tanked, so you can afford to give up some of it to the Guardian. And now, well, he's dropping, though. That Abaddon is dropping it ever so slowly.
Yep, and the utility command ship is something we've seen a fair amount of in this tournament. I think it's a very interesting idea, because usually most people say this is our super tanked command ship. We'll put guns on it. It'll give us a little bit of DPS, and people are definitely stepping outside of the traditional role for them, and how they've been fitting them in these later matches.
Yeah, and it looks like the next target on the list was not the Golems, but in fact the Tengu of Brick Squad, which is now has a Chronos on either side of it just blasting away. Again, never an enviable position. There are webs on it. Chronos obviously has a web bonus, and there are shield bots on it, but it's just not going to be enough, even with those Caldari resists against the kinetic thermal damage of these Chronos just wasn't nearly enough as he goes down.
Yeah, the Brick Squad now down to just those 2 golems, and once those Chronos get in range, it won't take very long for this fight to end.
No, and that Abaddon still hanging in there with the help of the Guardian. Still firing away, trying to do. I think he realizes that he's going to go down. He's got those torps on him, but at this point, your objective as that Abaddon pilot is to do as much damage as possible. And he's coming in with high damage crystals. He's blasting through that. They're absolutely destroying that golem. He's already down to 50% shields after about 3 volleys from these 3 ships for Red Overlord. Just an astronomical amount of damage coming off of these.
Yeah, Red Overlord has only lost 1 Griff in the whole fight. Yeah, they really came in and were just superior the entire match in pretty much all of the fronts.
I was a little bit skeptical when I saw the Griffins on the field. I mean, they are more expensive than destroyers are actually in this tournament, but I mean, I don't know if that helped one way or the other, but they were definitely able to make it through with them. So I guess we can't fault their decision making too much, as now the second Golem rather for Brick Squad just being disassembled at the leisure of Red Overlord. And actually, that Abaddon is going to make it through the fight. So it's
certainly looks it.
Sorry. It's important to note that at this stage, these teams have to be prepared to potentially fight 4 times today. So preserving ships, while it may not seem like a big deal in the grand scheme of things, if you want to bring a setup that's in any way similar to the setups you've brought before, then you need to preserve something. as Red Overlord have done here, destroying the last golem remaining for the Brick Squad. So Red Overlord take it.
And I think it's another example where Brick brought a solid setup. I think it certainly could have done well. They just they don't really have the follow through. I think they'll get better. I assume we'll see them again next tournament, and hopefully they will. Hopefully they'll live up to the potential I think that they have.
And with that, I think it's just about break time, but we will go ahead and send it back to wherever the benevolent CCP Charlie wants it to go.